Spiritual awareness, consciousness, nirvana, all these higher states of awareness have always been considered something outside of the norm. And today we're going to bring it close in to your heart, to your soul. There's a place inside you that you should never, ever, 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 ever be concerned or afraid about anything. The Godhead itself, like it says in the scripture, is the kingdom of God is within. There's something within your guts that if you're quiet enough, calm enough, prayerful enough, in love enough, you'll know that you'll never turn from. There's a place deep in the heart and soul, but it's not deep to someone who's lived it all their life. You're aware of all the nefarious conditions of this world, and you're not taking part in it. Not a hairline, ever. Your friends and neighbors don't know, even your loved one, because it's too considerate, too humble, too contrite, too much like God. And there is a God, literally. And you're God. It's a condition. It's not a religious atmosphere. It's not about thoughts and ideals. It's about a deep quiet where you see as God sees. God literally looks out of your eyes in this condition called illumination, whatever you want to call it. There is a quiet place. And you could be here 79 years, 80 years, 20 years, 16 years for 5 days. And when you're illumined, you'll keep getting hit with the same elaboration of foolery called temptation from the devil that creates this world. It's the idea in the Garden of Eden that two people are naked and that's not the point. The point is, and the point, what it was meant, it was a mystical statement, was that as long as there are two people think they're their body, there will be illicit behavior, there will be murder, there will be war. As long as two people think they're this. If you're illumined, as it were, you never see yourself as this. It makes your communication with others very difficult, and that's why traditionally spiritual people have always disappeared into the woodwork. You might be a mom like my mother. She had this and almost never discussed it, maybe once or twice. And you live your life because no one ever, ever, ever listens to you. They cannot. They don't know how to be still. So as many people around you, they want, we'll say from my life, so many different areas of this material existence we live in. I'll have people trust me always that, and they'll ask advice and you'll give it, but they never actually listen. The mind is there, never in that quiet place where they see, okay, follow through with that. When you trust someone, you'll follow through. My teacher is here, and Peter Mink, and he'll tell his people to do something, they'll do it. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teacher, and so everyone trusts him, not because he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teacher, but because on top of that, he's quite spiritual, quite close to what we're speaking of today. There's a place beyond this whole world, and it's you and it's yours. And if you understand what's being said about no one ever, they can't listen to you people because they think they're here, they're listening to that, they've never stilled their mind. I've said many times that the cerebral cortex is like the thinking mind that's the devil. If you can get quiet, you're living in this quiet place here, deep in your abdomen where you're not here. And there's a clarity, there's a place inside it. It's, I wish I had the words. It's so clean, so pure, so true. It's God. And you always know the kinds of temptations that are coming at you, and they change all day, every day. For some, if like I know in this last week, it was like a deep, muggy week. The moisture in the air was very high, and it was hot and warm. So as a mammalian creature, you're being told to go in a cave, under a tree, lay by a stream. Don't hunt today. Your body's being told that there's more storm coming in, so just rest and let go, and then as soon as that breaks, you'll be told to go out and hunt. And at the same time, if you're very spiritual, you have that feeling always. It's drifting, you're gone, and some people mistake it as, in the 70s, they thought it was a blood disorder. A lot of people are very artistic or creative in their atmosphere, which is a touch of spirituality, always. And it wasn't a blood disorder, chemical, or it wasn't that. It was this that we're speaking of today. The quiet within us all. And it is God, and it is you. The point of using the word God is that it is, but it's so mystical, so quiet, this deep place within you, quiet center deep within your heart and soul. There's an openness to it. And the point being stated right now is there is a devil that creates the whole magical atmosphere, the whole absurdity of it. I say absurdity of it because there are people threaten you in the car, the beeping in you. And if you're very spiritual, you always know whether it's from the devil or someone sent, whatever, you'll always know. Sometimes it's directly from the devil, but there are all these different beings. They are the devil. They are different faces of Eve. It's just absurd. If you're quiet, if you're spiritual, you understand it. I have many friends that are quite spiritual. My friend Danny runs a book company, on and on. I go down the list around the world. And we see each other, just a little smile, and there's nothing to do or say. My first teacher, Dr. Buxbazen from, I guess he was the editor of the Poetry Journal, and he was a psychoanalyst, and we built the World Zen Center together with Dr. Sho, and Everett Wilkinson has started the Wilkinson School down here, and so on and so forth. And Colonel Bull Fisher gave us a mountaintop in Virginia. We built this place, and whenever I see Edward, or which is like twice in 50 years, and Dr. Buxbazen, my buddy, seen him once in 50 years, and we just look at each other. There's just a short smile. There's nothing to say. We're living the same absurdity. We're not here. There is a place in your heart and soul that's forever. Please seek it. If you know it's there, there are no complications. Talk to that which we call God. God will talk to you. It's that simple. You don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to study anything, you don't have to believe anything. Just feel that trust in your center that has to be. And that will be. And that's how we'll fold the whole thing up. The whole world. It need not be. It is an illusion. All the states of consciousness that people describe in great literature, even and love scenes, and it always have this sparkling edge to the love, to the romance, where there's something. It is a romance with God. You read great literature, great art. Look at it. It'll stop all your senses, and then you'll see Him, the only God, and you, His great work of art, of divine art. I've seen it in the eyes of my teachers, my mother, my friends here. Each have this sparkle of eternity. Don't let them take your dignity. Resolve, quiet yourself, and you'll see. God will teach you directly. There's no mystery here. I know you feel it. It's in the air today. And if you're spiritual, there's no time, there's no today, there's no air. It's this mystic early morning breeze that moves through us each day and night. It's more powerful than all the armies of the world. Believe me. You'll be transcendent of death, life, birth, anything. You won't need anything, you won't have to go anywhere. And getting back to that sense of under a tree, you feel this kind of tiredness. You'll feel this spiritually all the time, but there's a certain dignity and beauty to it. If you have to work and do something very physical, then you got to fight through it. And you do. But we're aware of these spiritual conditions all the time. We just have to read them aright to know that that's what's happening, that it's not something out of the ordinary. To want to just sit quietly, to step away from the madness. That's not wrong, because in the end of time, which will be quickly for you, there'll be nothing to do and nowhere to go. And you will have expanded out infinitely into this ocean of purity, quiet, kindness, wisdom, and an unimaginable joy. I say unimaginable because it's infinite and it's beyond joy. It's beyond a word bliss, or whatever the word is. It's exquisite. But as soon as you step into the actual atmosphere of God, nothing, no way that we feel or think or perceive exists. It's so much more. You don't think, well, what are we going to do? It's you're part of eternity, infinity. These are not just words. I didn't read this somewhere. And you know within your heart that this need not be the madness that we have somehow survived this long amidst. And if we're here and we're spiritual today, we came here of our own volition. We're great heroes to God. We're parts of God equally, but we allowed ourselves to exist through this madness, which is an illusion. I have to make it very, 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 very clear, excuse me, that there is an eternity, there is God, and what's happening in this world is infinitesimal, subatomic particle, and infinitely less than that in contrast to what truly is an ocean of reality that's called God. And it just happened to be, because God would not do this. So if you get a hold of that place in the center of your gut, oh, but it happened, so here we are, and we're going to end it. Forget about the centuries or time or whether it says in the Revelation about the end of the world. Yeah, it's there, and it's happening on your watch. Definitely, without any doubt. And you're here to end the clamor, the madness, the silliness, the absurdity, the crudity, the vileness of it all, aren't you? Think of a little infant the first time you saw your child. Your experience of reality should never be less than that. A preciousness of life. There's a great dignity to life. And if you hold on to that in your center, then all the illusion that happens around you, and I get threatened violently every day of my life in strange ways, and you have to be very quiet to not jump out and react to it in any way. If you do that, boom, it goes up. It really just goes up in nothingness. So if you get very quiet in here, trust that there's a God, and know that there's a God, and you'll be slammed in the first 2 or 3 months with horrible. You'll be facing very rough opponents in the psychic realm, and they'll be coming at you, and you're going to love it because you're going to see that what I'm saying is true. That this is an illusion, and it's forced upon. I knew 50, 60 years ago there would be like these 300, really 3,000 beings that are in dark black with the conical hats in a prayer, like like it would sound like the Tibetan prayers, like the Sanskrit, but it's not. It's really dark beings, and they're an illusion. I can look at them now. Look right to them, for you, with you. It's all you, the infinite eternity we call God. It's not that you fight that never let anyone take your dignity. If you're quiet, you don't have a thought like that. Everything just is. And knowing that people never listen to you, that's a part of it, because you're trying to always uplift everyone and everything around you. And you'll have a little suggestion about this or that, and it's listened to or not listened to. It's rarely listened to or heard. So that's why people traditionally have moved off into a more quiet place than the everyday business. You have people like Dag Hammarskjöld, my buddy, he was second Secretary General of the United Nations. And when he passed, after he passed, they discovered that he was, with all of his confronting all the despots around the world, the tyranny of the world, and trying to bring world peace, after he passed, his secretary let out a book that he had written that was called Markings by Dag Hammarskjöld, and it was all the mystical experience that he felt. But you can't speak about that in the open range. You know, you have to live with it quietly. So he did that, and all we have to do is, and we don't have to face the really physical dark beings like my teacher, Peter Mink. And you can arrive at that same mystical, magical place where you have no fear, where you can walk freely, and it's quite beautiful to be spiritual. There's nothing weak about it. You don't have to be a great martial artist or a painter like Master G here. You simply have to be kind. And that's not being nice. Nice is a fear. We're talking about let all your emotional senses fall down with your breath to your abdomen, and just follow it down and feel it down there. Out of the thinking mind. Thinking mind's still going, you project it to a place on the wall or the floor 18 inches in front of you, and you'll find that those are the two entrances of existence. If you quiet your emotions, exteriorize your concentration, mental, out here, the world won't be. It is that simple. Providing we believe in that, the extraterrestrial. I know I saw that movie once, and it was quite magical. And for me, as a spiritual being, and I know if I asked any of the millions and millions of people around the world who are spiritual, yeah, they felt that was who they are. But you never even show it. It's you're so humble and contrite inside. There's no sense of being here or not being here, and you accept all the ingratitude of the world during your life, but by looking at it and not reacting to it, and not reacting to it. I'm very highly trained to not react to people's thoughts or feelings, or, you know, I've trained with some friends that were very adept with this in order to help other people. But it was inborn in me because of if your heart is spiritual, if you're close to God, if you understand God, you're not taken in by anything. In India, there's a statement that when a pickpocket sees a saint, he only sees his pockets. So that's to make you, wise and aware that this world is a very insolent place. And if they want to go be interred with that insolence in eternity, that's their choice. But you won't be. I can't be. So we're going to end the madness. The quiet of our heart, the solemnity of our mind, and the peace comes from our hands. We're His. more powerful than any thought, any impression, any feeling, anyone's psychology or fists. The weapons of war, of governments, of agencies. There is no government but God. And you're God in fullest flower. Don't let them take your dignity one more moment by simply understanding that's what's happening. And it's a war in consciousness. Train yourself. Allow yourself to heal. Look back through all the madness of this life and the maddening conditions, and you can look right through them. They've tried to take your dignity, to make you guilty about this or that. Also, we all have these secret things in the back of our mind and could have done more here or there. And the only thing you can do now is realize that, look at it, allow yourself to heal. Make your stand. And I will be with you. He will be with you. Professor Mink will be with you. He's my spiritual teacher as well as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teacher, and because he's kind under any conditions. Be kind under any condition. Doesn't mean don't be effective. Doesn't mean to lose at anything. It means to be aware with this sense of quietude. How could a God of any universe allow anything to take your dignity? That couldn't be. How about the real God? The one we worship, not from afar, but in this very quiet place in our center. It's a little deeper than the heart even, because there's a equanimity with it, peace that's transcends any explanation. But it doesn't transcend the purity of your heart and soul, does it? You've done nothing wrong. You're absolved of everything. This infinitesimal mistake in eternity is not anything to do with spirituality, with God. It happened, and when you're illumined, the universe is so much more endlessly beautiful and wonderful than the horror of this seeming lifetime. I'll be honest, as one spiritual person among millions, it's not here. It's never been here. There's a place I always see, and there's endless universes, and I'm always shocked. So as I said last week, I can just sit in my chair and drift off, or I can, I did in the Redwoods, do that for years at a time while rebuilding a whole property and so forth and so on. But just being alone is my absolute joy. But my absolute need, I've worked on it every millisecond of my life, is that every decent person in the world be confident enough to walk out of the madness, to not accept blame. First of all, know there is a God that's in your heart, that is your soul. You understand these words? It transcends all the words of the world. This religion or that religion is just softer than a whisper. Kinder than a mom's instructions to her 2-year-old. Do the right thing. And the right thing is trust your soul. Trust your God. God is your God. It's not someone else. It's not somewhere else. Trust that God is there for you every moment. This quiet place inside where you can't be pushed or bullied. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's the original you. That's the true you. That's the only you. And this force field we call the earth that has simply never been here for me. I don't even know how to say it. It's not here. I look right to it all the time. And I live in misery till the last person in the world who wants to walk away from it, walks away from it. So I'll be in misery till that moment. For you. For your mom. For your God. Talk to God. God will talk with you and be with you. And at some point we'll become you, and you'll allow that to happen. And we're so humble with it and contrite with people. We rarely ever show our whole card as it is. We have the absolute power of eternity with us. And it gets very subtle, the battlefield earth conditions that will occur. You train yourself a few months. See the force field try to get at you, the different beings that you'll do battle with, and all will be well. All is well. I see eternity every moment forever, and it's got nothing to do with this silliness. It's not about your bank account or anything, and I don't know how clear to make it, but if you stand with this sense, then all the absurdity that confronts us all day, it will leave. It's a mirage, as nasty as it seems. Look Satan in the eye and he will flee from you. It's fear-based, all this insanity, all the temptations. Please seek him. He seeks us all the more. Thank you for listening to this. You have all the power of eternity. They're shaking in their boots. Don't worry about this condition or that condition or whatever arises day in and day out in this stupid world. Yes, it's as bad as can be, but it's nothing. That's the illusion. Pull your friends and neighbors and loved ones out from the fires of disbelief and it's okay to be completely happy and free and at peace with God. And realize no one's listening to you, so get quiet, and if you find a spiritual person, commune with one another and use that power. Like Moses had Aaron, they were both equally spiritual, and you always have a counterbalance, you would call it. All the great Hebrew gods, all the great kings had a great mystical being around them, the Elijahs and so forth. And because you'll need that to bring spiritual power into the world, to overcome your enemies, so find someone with a true heart. Let them know how true their heart is, because they're not used to being listened to. Free one another, and through that, free all and everyone forever. God bless the mystery and majesty of your soul. It's not someone else, it's not somewhere else. You're the gift of eternity. God bless your holy mission. Thank you.